Hi, my name is Marcia Metzger, and I'm the director for Choose Now, a Georgia nonprofit organization that provides answers for parents and schools regarding sex education and controversial mental health curriculum. Today, I want to share with you the results of an open record request that I made for Tift County, Georgia. And what you're looking at here is the seal of confidence that I've designed for Choose Now. And when a school can actually obtain this seal of confidence, it would mean that they have zero tolerance for ideology in the schools, zero tolerance for obscenities, obscene information in the school, and that they're transparent with the parents of their school system. So let's get started. I want to just get some information together for you and share some of the things that I have gleaned just through looking through all of their information. So first off, I want to start out with an actual letter that the last communication that I wrote to the school. And I shared this on July 22nd at Victory Baptist Church, where we had a community meeting where several people came and they listened to my presentation. I did have it videoed, but that particular video had some sound issues with it. So I wanted to go ahead and just do a 4-part series, if you will, with these screens up close. So people could share this information so parents can know what to expect and how to navigate their child through the school systems right now. We have some fantastic educators and administrators in this particular county. I had real good conversations with several of the administrators, Mickey Weldon and Dr. Norman. So I'm looking forward to just sharing with you some of what happened. However, after I finally got the access that I needed to get into this digital program called Purpose Prep, which is their social and emotional program. Once I did that and I found some things after that, I guess in the society in which we live right now, things are just kind of volatile, and I can understand why they would want to probably begin just talking with me, maybe through an attorney or something. But actually, I wrote this about over a month ago. I wrote this email and I never got a response. And I wrote the email, addressed it to the chairman of the board, the school board, Mr. Jonathan Jones. And my understanding is he is a great guy, but I can understand why they didn't respond. So let's just move on from there. The letter that I did write to him, though, it goes like this, and it was addressed to Jonathan Jones, and it was carbon copied to Mickey Weldon, Michael Norman, and Adam Hathaway. So all of them received this letter. It reads, "Hi, Mr. Jones. I have heard wonderful comments from so many people about you. I appreciate your service in the Tift County school system, and I look forward to meeting with you. The reason I am writing is that I have conducted a view of the Purpose Prep social emotional learning curriculum used by Tift County schools, and I wish to share some concerns. The goal of Choose Now is to review various curricula throughout the Coastal Plains RESA in order to raise awareness regarding harmful ideologies, the sexualization of children, and parents' rights. Today's culture, as it relates to sex education and social emotional learning curriculum, is bringing parents to school board meetings to express their concerns and, in some cases, their outrage. I would like to discuss my findings with you before our community meeting that will be held on July 22nd in Tifton. Please rest assured that Choose Now is an organization that seeks to provide winsome solutions for schools and communities. My contacts for Tift County schools have been Mickey Weldon and Michael Norman. I am sure that they can fill you in on my discoveries, and we can move forward to report to the community what standards, types of curricula, and protocols you will use in the future. This will be very informative and hopefully helpful for you to maintain the student population in spite of the adversity in America. Peaceful solutions and unity are high on our list and to gauge our success as concerned citizens, and I look forward to hearing back from you." It's unfortunate I have not heard back from them, and that's been well over a month ago now. So again, though, I say to you, I understand, but I think we just need to come together as a community. We need to sit down and reason, because what's coming toward us at this point from our culture is something that, if we're going to maintain a public school platform, we are going to have to neutralize these ideologies, and we are going to have to protect our children while their brains are forming. So we have a lot to cover. And like I said, I'm going to break this down into 4 sessions because covering this takes a good hour and a half, hour 45 minutes worth of video. So let's get started. Sex education, social emotional learning. I'll also refer to social and emotional learning as SEL from this point, and library auditing. So this is the coverage area for Choose Now. This is known as the Coastal Plains RESA, and that stands for Regional Educational Service Agency. Mr. Lance Hurd is the director of our area RESA, and what they pretty much do is they have a school that it was the former Lenox Elementary School, and that is where their office is here in Lenox, Georgia, and it's actually where I live as well. And what they do is they provide training, and they provide a lot of different services for teachers, superintendents, and just whatever they can do to help enhance the education systems. Mr. Lance Hurd, I have met with him and shown him some of this information as well. And his direction for me was to meet individually with these school districts. And as you can well imagine, he expressed concern about what he saw as well. And these are good people, so we're working together trying to get these things corrected. So let's look here at this particular video. This is what's going on in America in many states, and this is what we need to safeguard against. So watch this and we will break this down in just a moment.
Comprehensive sexuality education. And why should you be concerned about it? Isn't education a good thing, especially about something as universal as sex? And if you're going to educate, shouldn't it be comprehensive? Well, maybe. It depends on who's doing the educating, who it's intended for, and for what purpose. Sex ed used to mean learning about human reproduction and was usually taught in high school biology. Not anymore. According to UNESCO, the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, CSE is a process of teaching and learning about the cognitive, emotional, physical, and social aspects of sexuality. Sounds okay, until that is, you pull back the curtain to understand who else is behind CSE and why. Organizations like SECUS, Planned Parenthood, Advocates for Youth, the Human Rights Campaign, and others which have motives for CSE that go well beyond what you might think. SECUS, or Sexuality Information and Education Council of the United States, which despite the name is not a government organization, has recently rebranded itself to declare what it's really about. Sex ed for social change, which it defines as a large-scale culture shift. Not surprising, since SECUS was started by this woman, Mary Calderon, who previously was the medical director of Planned Parenthood, a devotee of the eugenist and serial pedophile Alfred Kinsey. What about Planned Parenthood, another one of the big sponsors of CSE? This organization was started by Margaret Sanger, who believed abortion was a means to cull the racially inferior or mentally unfit from society. For Planned Parenthood, using a gender transformative approach, CSE is a means to transform gender roles and advance equitable social systems. Advocates for Youth, co-sponsor of an organization called the Future of Sex Education, sees CSE as a means of advancing social, racial, and reproductive justice and equity. This thing called intersectionality, which translated means victim identity politics, and of course, language inclusivity, by which is meant people's preferred gender pronouns. These are the groups behind CSE. But who is CSE intended for? College students who presumably are mature enough to understand and weigh the implications of such material? Not hardly. The audience is children, grade schoolers beginning in kindergarten with sophisticated materials targeted to each successive grade. From kindergarten to second grade, teachers are advised to rely on books with titles like, Who Are You? My Princess Boy, and Jacob's New Dress. From 3rd to 6th grade, we see titles like Uncle Bobby's Wedding, King and King, and It's Perfectly Normal. By the time kids reach middle school, the curriculums are so sexually explicit, we can't even describe them here. Which brings us to the purpose of CSE. It's hardly a secret. In California, the Department of Education published a 700-page document called the Framework that outlines in great detail the requirements of CSE. From this document, it's clear what the goal of CSE is. It's to promote a worldview with 4 identifiable goals. The first of which is to advance SOGI ideology in all K through 12 public education. SOGI stands for Sexual Orientation, Gender Identity, and conveys the idea that both sexual attraction and gender exist along a spectrum. One's biological sex is meaningless. CSE teaches children to embrace subjective sexual and gender identities, if need be, through the force of law. The second goal of the CSE worldview is to sexualize children. CSE encourages children to become sexually active beginning in grade school. The evidence for this is amply provided in the various approved curriculums. The third goal is to destroy the nuclear family as the indispensable support of a healthy society, or at least the idea of it. CSE teaches that all arrangements and groupings of consenting adults are equally valid. Fourth, and finally, CSE seeks to undermine parental authority. A parent's conventional understanding of sex and gender are taught as negative stereotypes and may even be signs of spiritual abuse. Parents are discouraged from viewing CSE teaching materials by a mass of bureaucratic red tape. Children are coached on how to get contraceptives, treatment for STDs, and even abortions, all without a parent's consent or even knowledge. Taken together, as CICUS's motto declares, the purpose of CSE is to bring about social change. But is this kind of social change a goal shared by tax-paying parents of children in the public school system? Should it be? Forewarned is forearmed. I'm Mark Schneider with Protect Our Kids.
One can certainly understand that if you see this overall framework that is being implemented in many school systems regarding comprehensive sex education, that would cause alarm for the average parent. And yes, what he said about there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape that tries to keep us from accessing it, that is true. And it's true in a lot of school systems. And a lot of school systems, when they do have something in place, they've not really reviewed it because they really don't want to have to deal with it. It's supposed to be a minimal course of study, and they're just glad that they're not the one that has to teach it. But the particular health teacher that does have to teach it, it really makes them uncomfortable. And I've spoken with many of them, and they wish they had better guidelines. Well, there are 2 different platforms, completely different platforms in which to teach sex education. And there is a terrible rumor that the abstinence education platform is ineffective and that it's not reality to expect a kid to not have sex. And so we can set a kid up and make them think that and just say, well, no big deal, kids, you're going to do it. There's nothing we can do. Or we can actively take these students and help them understand what is out there and what they need to know about how to navigate their life so they will reach their potential. Abstinence, known as sexual risk avoidance, or SRA, is what a lot of people call it in the industry. This is the platform that has credentials for teachers. It's from the National Abstinence Education Association earlier. Now it's been rebranded as Ascend, and that's the name of the company that I have earned my credentials through. Abstinence coincides with the current Georgia statutes. There's a focus on waiting, and there is a focus on having goals for your life and recognizing all of the dangers of early sexual debut. We have medically accurate facts. We have proof that this works better than comprehensive sex education, and we would be glad to share those with you at any time. Comprehensive sex education, many times in Georgia, this is how you will see it packaged. Generally, it will come in through a group called GCAP. They actively pursue the platform for any school system they can get using ETR publishers information. You might see this called Flash or Reducing the Risk. There are several of them, but ETR is straight out of Planned Parenthood. I can show you the information where it's linked. Google has scrubbed it off of the internet pretty much though, so it's hard to find, but I can show you incorporation documents and I can show you newspaper articles about the people that did work at Planned Parenthood in Santa Cruz that started the company. So it's we do have proof that they are related. But Jane Fonda is the person that started GCAP. And whenever I share that with people, they understand that, yes, she's more of a liberal activist, former actress, and she has been working in activism for many, many years. So you can just look her up if you've never heard of her and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But you can also, there's a couple of other things I want to point out about GCAP is they started out as the Georgia Campaign for Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention. And then they have switched and rebranded themselves to become the Georgia Campaign for Adolescent Power and Potential. They develop student activists, and actually some of these student activists, they will come to school and they will be the resource for other students to get free condoms and dental dams that they use in order to provide barriers for sexual activity. All right, so the next part of this is to let you know what all we're digging for and revealing to you through our audits. So it'll be the current platform on sex education, and the school will sign off on which one is their theory. Is it going to be focused on abstinence and what the Georgia Board of Education rules have requested, or will it be on this radical comprehensive sex education? We look for radical or improper elements in the curricula. We look for compliance with Georgia state laws, Board of Education rules, local Board of Education rules. Did the school system get all of the permissions from the school board to implement what they've chosen? Did they go through the proper channels with committees and all of that kind of thing? Parental transparency, how is the school relating with parents in regard to sex education and in regard to all of the dynamics of social and emotional learning, which I will dig into in one of these sessions as well. There's a lot to parental transparency, and there's a lot that we gauge and we report on, so we'll have that covered as well. Also, several administrators, I'm just here to tell you, they did not realize which platform they were in. They don't realize what's in these programs as well. They are focused on academics, which a lot of people would think, well, that's what they should be focused on, and their staff and planning and budgets and all of these things that you would think. But we're at a place now in America that even the school superintendent needs to sit through and know what is in this education material, because this is where parents will come unglued, because there's so many things that are just improper. Open record requests are what we have to use in some school systems. In some school systems, we don't. And being that I'm in an organization that conducts this information on several different school districts, many times I even have people that won't even respond to my open record request, because I guess they think legally they don't have to, since I don't live in the county. I would think that they would want to do this with me instead of a parent, but it works better that way. So I can because I can completely understand and explain many times why these administrators didn't know anything about this. Who would think that people would want to sneak this kind of material in on our schools? It's unbelievable. So you'll see that in the upcoming videos. All schools and public entities are subject to open record requests, and Choose Now uses this method to gain factual evidence of what is currently taught and the reason the curriculum was chosen. I would much rather go into a school board meeting with proof of what I'm talking about, with facts, than I would to go in and just holler at them because my kid is showing me some lesson. I would rather prevent this and head it off at the, before it happens. Open record requests also set a serious tone with the administration of the school because it brings them into accountability with the general public. The safety net for the administrators is there, so they cannot be pressured to select curriculum that may not be the best for our student community. So, excuse me. You can imagine that if a publisher came and was really causing pressure, or there was funding from the government or any kind of pressure, I don't even know what all these administrators would experience. But if we have rules in line here and they can just say, hey, my community is so engaged with this, there is no way that I would ever engage. I mean, this is a good thing. These rules are in place for a reason, for us to use them to protect our kids, to protect our schools as well. If we don't protect our schools against this, and all of this kind of information gets really seated in the schools in a cemented kind of way, I believe our schools will lose a lot of students, and rightfully so. We have to get this under control. All schools also have several compliance and board rules and everything that need correction. And again, mainly it's because people are just disengaged. These laws have not been enforced, and this has to change. Your school website should have several things, and this is not an all-conclusive list, but these are some of the things that your school website is supposed to have on them. And up front, these are the things. They ought to really just have an actual tab that says all the forms or announcements or legal or something like that. But anyway, they should have opt-out forms posted for sex education, and they should have open record request information posted. And Tift County does have that information posted. They should have sex education curriculum posted with the ISBN number, whatever they are using. If they're going to teach it, they need to be upfront about teaching it, what grades it is taught to, and as well, teachers and parents need to meet ahead of time, most likely. I mean, that would just really be a common courtesy. Even though Georgia is an opt-out state, many times there are some schools that will say, well, we're going to let the parents know this is going on in case they don't want their student in it. So that way they'll know how to provide alternate sessions for those students that cannot participate because their parents don't want them to. There are also rules about having a health advisory committee. This is a committee that will select the sex education material. It should be primarily non-teaching parents that represent a diversity of the student body. And there should be 2 students on the committee too, 1 male and 1 female, and that would be biological, for them to come together and assess what kind of educational curriculum there is, and to determine what would be the best solution for that particular community. And that's where I love to consult with people. I've done that recently in a couple of neighboring counties where they'll say, is this comprehensive or is this abstinence? And I help them navigate through that information. Now, locally is where all the control is for deciding what curriculum and what books to purchase for a school system. And this has to do with all curriculum. The authority in the schools is we the people first, then the Board of Education, they answer to us, and then the administration answers to them. And a lot of role reversal has been going on over the past few years and decades. This needs to be straightened out. This is how the law reads, and I love it. This is Title 20, Chapter 2. This is just powerfully written. Given the specialized nature and unique role of membership on a local board of education, this elected office should be characterized and treated differently from other elected offices where the primary duty is independently to represent constituent views. Folks, this means, that word independently means something. It means they're not supposed to go and just chum out with their cohorts there on the school board. This is not a groupthink process. They are to independently represent the people that elected them to that particular seat. So this is how this is designed, because our children are the future of our country, and we are to handle them with the utmost of care. This is a delicate situation. So our school board needs to understand that we are educating all of the constituents on this, and we can no longer just sit back and think, okay, who got in on the school board? I don't even know who to vote for. I've never even heard who's running. We can't be that way anymore. We have to know who's running. We have to know when the election is, and we have to know what kind of character this person has. Are they on that board because they're political, or are they on that board because they are sitting there to protect your students? This is what we need on school boards. So we need to really make sure that we engage in this process, because a lot of the problems that are going on in our school systems right now is because we, as the collective community, this is nationwide right now. And everyone's waking up saying, wow, we have been asleep at the wheel, and we are now waking up and we're seeing this vehicle going over the cliff in some respects. We need to wake up and recognize that we need to hold our school board members accountable. We need to let them know, but first off, you need to let them know what you want, and you need to let them know that they're in charge of the administration, not vice versa. So we have a lot of power in this. So make sure that you understand this, but now remember that we need to use mutual respect. I don't believe these people are intending to corrupt our children here locally, but I do believe publishers are. Purchase of curricula and books. Each local board of education shall establish a review and recommendation process for any locally approved instructional materials and content that are adopted or used by the local school system. You can continue to read. Just go out there and Google the official code of Georgia, Title 20, Education, Chapter 2. Start reading. Familiarize yourself with these laws and rules. There's also the State Board of Education rules. The section is called IDB. You can look through that, as well as other sections there that pertain to the library. There's another one that pertains to the school boards. There's another one that pertains to character education. There are all kinds of things that we need to familiarize ourselves with, and so we can know how to stand on a standard, which is the law, and show our school boards that we understand what the deal is and they need to comply. So that's how it works. Now, this is the school board association. This was their summer workshop. Now, I don't know if this was just for any school board members or if it was for new ones. I would just think it's pretty much for all. The name of it is Revision, Reimagine, and Reinvent K-12 Public Education. Equity and social emotional well-being. These words, they mean something. There's a lot of woke terminology in this information, and this is something that probably you as parents, this is your area, this is your school board. I think we need to find out, what do our individual school board members think about the woke culture, and how are they going to protect our students from it? Because social and emotional learning is where these things are delivered, and I will show you how that works in the next session. These were the keynote speakers for this particular workshop. And I would think that every one of them knows about the woke education. They're the leaders of the workshop, the keynote speakers. I would think that they would know what's going on. Our state school board superintendent, our school superintendent, Richard Woods, is from Tifton. Maybe some of you know him. Maybe too, when you look at his website, he has on there about the whole child is what he is interested in. Maybe we should find out what he means by that, because sometimes these publishers and these other educators can tell someone in leadership, oh, the whole child is great. It's, we believe this, this, or this, you know, and then he'll sign on the line for it when it really means something else. So we need to find out from Richard Woods, you know, what he feels about the whole child, because that is part of his platform on woodsforsuper.com, I think is the name of his website. We need to find that information out, because what I'm learning about the whole child means the whole child, including their spirituality, their medical records, their medical care, their dental care, everything. The whole child is who we want to care for in our school system. And I don't think parents are down for the government taking care of the spirituality of our children, along with their mental health. And this is a mental health approach, and we will cover that more in depth in the next session. So part 2 of 4 is coming up, and that is going to be on social and emotional learning, which is also called SEL, and also on the history, framework, and data collection in SEL. So this is Marcia Metzger with Choose Now. It's been great to be with you, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.